Gypsy Rose Blanchard has had quite the eventful month. From her leaving her husband Ryan a few weeks ago, then being spotted with her ex Ken just days after leaving Ryan, and then we find out a week ago that she filed a restraining order, will try to get a temporary restraining order against Ryan, and she was also trying to get long-term spousal support from Ryan when he is a special education teacher, and it's not like he's out here making a lot of money. And now we are finding out more details from, I believe, Gypsy's side about what happened behind closed doors with her and Ryan. So a source keeps talking to TMZ and spilling all sorts of tea, but you can tell that the source is pretty biased towards Gypsy, so that's why I believe it's either Gypsy or a family member. TMZ got a hold of a selfie that Gypsy took the day that she had surgery done on her nose, and I feel like Gypsy's the one that's probably selling them stories. But anyways, according to TMZ, they claim that Gypsy and Ryan were fighting nonstop because allegedly Ryan is a food hoarder. So sources close to Gypsy told TMZ that she was not fully aware of Ryan's hoarding issues regarding food before she decided to move in. That's not all though. She said that he got really hot and sweaty while he was sleeping, and she felt like the bed was a furnace, and she didn't like how loud he snored, and just all these habits added together was too much for Gypsy. And I think this is just Gypsy trying to do anything to deflect from her recently hanging out with her ex and trying to make Ryan look like the bad guy. This is just my personal opinion. I know it may be a hot take, but I think it is so important to live with someone before you marry them, or at least spend a lot of time with them, like over at their place, so you know what you're getting into. When you're just talking to someone over the phone while you're in prison, you don't get to see all their bad habits and their little quirks that they do and how they run things. And apparently Gypsy was not feeling how Ryan was running things. So in their 2-bedroom apartment, she said that he was hoarding food so bad that it reminded her of her mother. And she said that Ryan would collect and keep all these food items in bulk. And what I want to know is, like, is he stocking up? Because, you know, I kind of stock up too. Like, I try to get like 3 ketchup bottles, 3 steak bottles, so I have a backup in case I run out and I don't have to run to the store. I'm interested to know the degree to where he was hoarding food. Was it a case where he was just, you know, having a backup of everything just so he didn't run out? Or is it a case where they have a 2-bedroom apartment and one of the bedrooms is just for his food hoard? Because that would definitely be a problem. But we don't know. Maybe Ryan's a couponer and he buys things in bulk to get a better deal because he is on a teacher's wage, and that is one of the most underpaid jobs out there. One of the things that disgusted Gypsy the most was the fact this source claimed that Ryan would never throw away food, and he'd let it sit in there for weeks and it would just expire and get all moldy and smell bad. And she claimed when she was hungry, she would get in the fridge and she couldn't even find what she wanted because there's so much expired stuff. So she decided one day while Ryan was gone, she's like, look, I have to fix this. This is too much. So she decided to clean out the whole fridge. And in the process, she went one by one through all the food products and checked what was good and what was expired. And she threw out all the bad stuff. And she claims that when Ryan came home and discovered that she had thrown all this expired food out, apparently he freaked out on her. And this sparked a huge fight where said she was scared that Ryan was going to put hands on her. And according to this source, they say that Gypsy was also not feeling the fact that Ryan was constantly sweating and hot at night. She said she likes to sleep in a nice cold bed, and Ryan was kind of a human furnace, so she was constantly burning up all night. And she said on top of that, he snored so loud, and it was too much to where she couldn't even sleep through the night, and she was starting to get concerned that he may have sleep apnea. This story, at least the snoring part, reminds me so much of one of my old coworkers. She ended up getting engaged to this guy that we worked with, and she had never really spent a lot of time with him in person. Like, they would go out on dates, and they got engaged like within a few weeks of dating. And as soon as they got engaged, they decided to buy a house together, and they finally spent the night together the first night they moved in, and he snored so bad that she literally could not do it, and that was one of the reasons she broke up with him. And I didn't think snoring was a reason people broke up, but apparently it was that bad where she said she felt like the house was shaking, and it was such a concern for her. But I honestly just feel like Gypsy is just grabbing at straws at this point to try to make Ryan look like the bad guy. And hell, this is the worst she can say about what Ryan did, because I feel like if he actually did something worse than this, then we would have heard about it by now, because the sources or Gypsy or whoever's speaking with TMZ has had no problem holding back all this information. And if that's the worst that Ryan has done, then that ain't nothing. Part of being married is you have to be willing to compromise and communicate how you feel so you guys can fix things. And I feel like Gypsy really didn't give her marriage a chance to fix things and work on things, because if so, I feel like we would have heard the source saying that Gypsy told Ryan and he still continued with the behavior. But instead, it just seems like he was mad she threw out his food, and I think he was just used to living by himself for so long and stuck in his ways that once you finally have someone move in with you, and this is the first person or female I think that has lived with him outside of his family, it can be quite the adjustment when you're living with a partner for the first time. And I know in the past when I dated people, I could always spot the dudes who haven't had a female live with them before, because they just live however they want to live. And Gypsy was just looking for any excuse, I think, to leave and go be back with Ken. But at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of people point out on TikTok and say they felt like Gypsy specifically got with Ryan because he was a special education teacher and he was responsible, and that looked good for parole. And you know, that is a good point, because if she didn't have Ryan, then there's a chance that she may have not got parole this year like she did. I do believe Gypsy wanted to be married too. I think she had this idea in her head, like she said on her documentary, that it was gonna be like she was a princess, like in these movies that she used to watch, and you know, he was gonna just pick her up and whisk her away, and they're gonna live happily ever after. But life kicked in, and she realized that Ryan was not about to let her do whatever she wanted to do. And I don't doubt that Ryan was somewhat controlling, but I also feel like part of that was because he lacked trust with Gypsy from her lying to him in the past. We have to remember that Gypsy really doesn't have much experience with relationships in the past, except her relationship with Nick, and then she just jumps right into a marriage before she gets out of prison. And Ryan has came out and said that Gypsy would always try to make him jealous, and she kind of got off on that. And when you're constantly doing things like that, you can't be shocked when Ryan starts feeling some type of way and second guessing things. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Check out my lashes and cosmetics at AccordingtoAmber.com. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.